Hey y'all, Ramdino here, coming at you again from the Appalachian Trail in Virginia. So I am on trail again for another trip, another section hike. So I am pumped about this section hike, where I left off from my last video. So those of you who have been through this section before, tell me where I'm at. Leave that down in the comment section. I'm not going to give it away just yet, but in any case, leave that down below, and it'd be interesting to see he knows where I'm at. I'll get that divulged to you later. But in any case, I'm looking forward to it. Hiking solo by myself, but I am going to be running into a friend of mine out here. And, well, he's a friend of yours too, more than likely, if you've been on the trail much at all. So I'll introduce him later on. In any case, where I'm at now, just always remember that the AT goes through pastures and stuff. And a lot of times, those pastures are actually working pastures. Do not step in the liquid cow patties. For that matter, don't step in the non-liquid cow patties, because they may just have been crusted over and they're liquid in the middle. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Here we go. Well, if you commented that I am starting at the Kiefer Oak, or rather started at the Kiefer Oak parking lot, because the Kiefer Oak is actually on trail somewhere. But if you commented that below, you got it right. So this is the largest oak tree in the southern section of the AT. There's another one that is just a shade bigger on up trail in the north. Old trail, what they call a Methuselah tree. Been here forever and a day, since before, probably when all this was owned by the Indians. But in any case, not necessarily the tallest tree, but definitely the broadest down at the bottom around here. Now, if you're wanting to see this tree, I would highly recommend you come up here sometime in the near future. You can see that there's a branch right here that broke off and came down, and that was probably that has been definitely recently, I mean, it's still alive. A lot of leaves and stuff on it that are falling down, but you see that there are pieces of it coming off, and other pieces in different places around it. So don't know how, every tree has a life capacity. Trees just don't live forever. This one has probably lived beyond its life capacity. And so if you want to come see it, I would definitely say come on out sooner rather than later. All right, let's go ahead and get to hiking on trail. All right, trail's a little, terrain's not too difficult. Perfect place for a 20-minute check-in. So we're 20 minutes plus out of the parking lot, away from the shuttle, and I'm pumped about this hike, because if you can't tell why, then something is wrong with you. If you'll notice how the woods are just glowing in technicolor. So it's just really, what a gorgeous weekend I got coming up for me. And this is going to be a hike that I'll say, starting out, and proof will be in the pudding later, going to be an easy hike. I am out 3 days, only doing 30. So obviously that averages 10 miles a day. I am purposely going to do my dead level best to take it easy. 10 miles is easy hike for what I typically hike. So a lot of times I try to push 15, and well, sun's gonna be in your eyes. Let me get back to you. So like I was saying, normally 15 miles is 15 to 16 is where I like to be. So I'm purposely slowing down. Mentioned this up in Vermont. Purposely going to slow down on the hills and just in general to see how my feet do. As most of you know, if you watch my channel at all, I suffer with plantar fasciitis, and it's getting better. It seems my left foot now has more issues than my right. But I noticed up in Vermont, the day that I experimented and took my times on ups that it just didn't hurt as much. So I'm gonna do likewise on this trip for that reason, and it's gonna be a short trip. So I wanna get out here and enjoy all of this color, the views I'm gonna see. Now, this is also gonna be a neat trip because I'm gonna see a lot of sites that that are kind of the AT's famous for. A lot of people know them. So we'll be coming past Bruiser's Knob cairns. There are some rock structures not long from now, pretty unique rock cairns and cairn, however you want to say it. I'm from North Carolina. I call it cairn. So see those? Going to go across the Audie Murphy Monument, who is the most decorated soldier and infantryman in World War II. And then, of course, we've already went past the Kiefer Oak. So that was cool. We already started that, and we're going to be hitting the Eastern Continental Divide after the cairns. Then lots of views, even besides all the color on the trail in the woods, and be hitting Dragon's Tooth. So Dragon's Tooth is a huge monolith that is the first of the Virginia Triple Crown. So the Triple Crown section, I guess, starts down to Kiefer Oak, and section I'm doing, but I'm not going to be doing all the Triple Crown. Matter of fact, Dragon's Tooth is all I'm going to do. I'm going to be stopping short of Macafee Knob, because I had been up there before, and it makes for a 8-mile round trip, more or less, and I'm going to be needing to get back, and it's a good starting point for my next section up through there. But anyway, starts the Triple Crown down there around the Kiefer Oak. You hit Dragon's Tooth, Macafee Knob, and Tinker Cliffs, and you come into Delville. So if I did all the way to Delville, it was going to be 50 miles. So from Dragon's Tooth through Tinker's Cliff is about 21, but all the way from Kiefer Oak to Delville, which is not really a road crossing, once you hit Macafee Knob, you kind of got to go all the way to Delville. That would have turned my trip into a 50-miler, and not interested. Didn't have time off from work to do that much, and want to take my time. So anyhow, talk about the trail a little more here in just a bit. Let me catch my breath as I'm going up these switchbacks, and we'll get back to you. All right, well, according to the hiker I just passed, that's not a false summit. I'm on top. So that's awesome. So I should be coming into the Bruiser's Knob cairns in a minute. One of the things I want to mention is that with all the leaf drop, it's not so bad through here, but there are places that, if it's not blazed well, kind of get lost, having a hard time seeing the trail, particularly in the woods where there's no undergrowth to be cleared. But you'll get in a section it's not blazed well and wonder if you've not gotten off trail. So, and really the most that's dropped right now are the poplar trees. So poplars, a lot of those, and sycamores have dropped, but still got a lot of oaks and maples and stuff that hadn't even turned yet. Well, take it back, the maples have turned. They're the red ones. But you've got some oaks and elms and stuff that have not. So they'll be raining down. And you know, I've seen hikers that they walk through the trail knee deep in leaves. So you talk about sections not blazed well, and when it gets covered over in leaves, it's hard to see the roots and rocks to miss. So anyhow, it is gorgeous, without a doubt, coming through here. So for the next couple miles, I'll be on top of this kind of a ridge, so looking forward to that. All right, we will Charlie Mike NOBO up the trail and chat with you in a bit. This part of Virginia really is a gorgeous, gorgeous part. I guess it's like the Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina, but it's really pretty up here. Power lines don't add to it, but hey, if we're going to have heat and air conditioning and live in modern society, whether we want to or not, they're necessary. Kind of neat rocks right here. They look volcanic. Any of you geologists out there, I'm assuming they're what used to be lava that got deposited here just due to upheaval. See how they're kind of, at one time they were layers, and then the upheaval is turned them as they've come up. I'm assuming that's what that is, but somebody correct me if you know better than me. But pretty neat. You know, they're not smooth or anything like that, even though there's been a lot of hikers walk across that. So anyway, just interesting stuff you see along the trail. I'm sure in the middle of summer this is bad grown up. Looks like I diverted a little bit there. Forgive me if I skipped that section of the AT. I'm back on trail now. Anyhow, neat stuff you see on the trail. All right, so I'm coming into where the bruisers, knobs, cairns are, and speculation from some is that, hey, it's just where they cleared for a field. So typically, you know, that's a structure of some type. We'll see it in just a minute. We're on top of a ridge. I don't know why somebody would want a field way up here. But, you know, when you clear for a field, this is kind of what it looks like. All piled up without any structure to it. Or I've seen in different parts of Virginia, you know, you'll see a fence, or it's piled up and it's a stone wall, and that's usually, there's another pile of them there. You know, that was where like a homestead was or something. So maybe this was a homestead and they did clear it, and that's what it was for. Be interested to see what these cairns. Oh. Yep, that's what happens when you're not using your poles. Anyway, there are a lot of rock piled up in here, so quite possibly this was a homestead and somebody cleared it in order to make it a pasture. But they've got, it's kind of weird how they've cleared it just instead of all putting them all one spot. But here we come to one now, and maybe it was a boundary. Could have been a boundary marker as well that they were using it for. You know, like the corner of property or something. But definitely a big structure there that they've built. I've seen one where it was like it was round, almost like an oven or something, but where you had like a void in the middle. But this is definitely solid, so that was probably a boundary marker or something like that. Like it's about, I don't know, 8 feet, 9 feet tall. All right, we'll look for the other one. So this one's definitely got some structure to it, the way it's stacked in there. There's another one. It almost looks like it collapsed on the back side, like it could have been hollow at one point and maybe been a kiln or something like that, like a groundhog kiln for making pottery. I don't know, but they definitely have some structure to some of them in here. I think there's one more big one, so we'll see if we can determine if that one's hollow in the middle, if we see another one. All right, so we've reached our first shelter, the Sarver shelter. Not be going there. We don't need any water. It's a half-mile off trail. Naday shelter or 9-day shelter. Not going to stay there either. It's a little off the trail, but we are going to meeting our friend at 621, which is 7.3. So this was supposed to be 10, so we've only come 2.7 so far. So that feels about right. Just saw a deer. That was cool. It was a big old deer too. I couldn't tell if it was a buck or not. It went by so fast. But anyway, I kept hearing something like a rock fall or something, and I guess that was his cloven hooves on some rock or something. Maybe he was pawing, but anyhow, I thought it might be another hiker coming, but nope, it wasn't. Just Mr. Buck. All right, we are heading downhill at this point. Well, I've been running this ridge line now for a couple miles, and man, it's mainly flat, a little up here, but mainly flat, but it's been really easy going, enjoyable, rocky, but oh, I'm coming into something right here. Woo! Bam-a-lam. Whoa, Black Betty, look at that. That heathen. Woo! Wow. Just all of a sudden, boom, out of the woods onto a ledge. Runs down there for a ways too. Man, that's awesome. Makes you want to sit here and take a break if I hadn't already had lunch. But look at the trees down there. They're popping up colors. Kind of see a demarcation line between the elevations where the colors are really out, and then you get down there and hadn't quite come out. You can see the evergreens too. So, but anyway, oh, this is awesome. All right, let me take a wanderman in it. Well, I have come up on the Eastern Continental Divide. So, all the water to the left of this tree flows into the Gulf of Mexico, which is 1,920 miles away. All the water and rain that falls on the right side of this tree goes to the Atlantic Ocean, and that is 405 miles due east. So, that is Eastern Continental Divide. And there's been a couple times I've crossed that, because obviously it runs all the way up the spine of the Appalachian Trail. All right, we are continuing on up the trail. As you can see, other than the blazes, it's kind of hard to pick it out. So, and behind me, likewise as well, you kind of have to look for an opening in a tree, but there's been a couple times I've gotten off trail and started getting mushy in there, not as well trodden, and that was the only thing that brought me back was, hey, I'm off trail. It's got to be because it's mushy over here. All right, we're continuing on. Probably the next time I chat with you, I'll be at camp for the night, and we'll get to meet our special guest host. All right. Charlie Mike. Had to show you this. It's just walking through a sea of yellow and green, light green. All these are changing, and it's probably going to be a yellow tint to this. No, this is not a filter. This is what it actually looks like going through here. So, favorite time of the year to be hiking and to see all this. So I told you I wasn't gonna bring it out again, but when I see stuff like this, I want to share it with you. another thing, maybe TMI I want to share with you. So I got these, my shuttle driver gave me beef sticks and cheese sticks. So before I left, so I've been chewing those things or eating them kind of on the go, what have you. They're really good together. So the thing about it is that them beef sticks, they make them like sausage. I think it's just beef sausage with the casing and everything. And you know, it's not prime rib that they use to make them with. I think it's probably everything that doesn't go in the liver mush. If you don't know what liver mush is, it's stuff that's, or the beef sticks are stuff that's left over after they cook the liver mush. If you don't know what liver mush is, that's stuff they cook in Cleveland County after they've made the hot dogs and they've got leftovers. So that kind of describes to you what them beef sticks are made of. And I must have got a piece of a tendon in my tooth. I've been trying to get it out for the past mile. Finally got it out. Kept on chewing it. See how long I could chew it. Chewed it for half a mile. Never could get it chewed up. It reminds me, I did a mission trip to Alaska. And while we were up there, the church we was working for, of course, they fed us muktuk. So if you've not from Alaska, never been there, don't know what muktuk is whale. And it comes out in little cubes. And it's got an actual piece of whale blubber on it. And then the rest of the flesh that you're trying to eat is white. Kind of salty tasting. But it's like, you can chew it and chew it and chew it. I chewed it and chewed it and chewed it for 30 minutes. The one piece I had. Never got it to a consistency that I could swallow. I think I could probably chew my trail runners to a better consistency and swallow them than the muktuk. So I finally had to throw it away. That's what I had to do with that tendon from that beef stick. Spit it out. That's TMI. Sorry about that, but hey, hiker trash, that's the way we talk, particularly on the trail. All right, we are downhill all the way to camp tonight. Okay, so I thought I'd come back one more time while I'm on the ground.